Hey everybody, so welcome back. What I was talking about when we were last together was the amount of research that has to go into getting a project like this. And I can't really call it a project because it's really a business. Now, yeah, you can, I guess, interchange. But the thing is that there is a lot of planning that needs to go on, financial. You got to look at your demographic. Look at what venues are going to be available to you. But one of the things that really was brought to my attention by more than one person was the fact that you need to set yourself up in a business in one of two ways. Two ways that were told to me. One was as a DBA. Now, DBA is just an acronym for doing business as. And what that really, it registers you with the municipality you'd be working within. It would also pretty much, and I would learn later on, it would open up certain areas of where you could get product for your business at a reduced rate. Now, people had said, you could do Costco or BJ's or Sam's Club or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then there are other things. One of the ones that was brought to my attention also on this was a business called Restaurant Depot. And when I say Restaurant Depot, that is really, it was overwhelming, the amount of stuff that they had, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So it was a question of, how do I get this going and what's the best way? And again, you talk to people that are, it was another coworker actually, his family, they own their own pizza business here locally in Plano, but the part of that was really interesting was I was asking him, where do you get all your supplies from? From your pizza boxes to your, to your olive oil, and he had mentioned Restaurant Depot. And I said, well, then that'd be worth a trip. He goes, no, you can't go in there unless you are a member and you own a business. And I'm like, wow, own a business. And he said, don't worry about it. Simplest way, go through LegalZoom. And I said, well, I've heard of them. He goes, yeah, everybody pretty much knows LegalZoom. And they are the people behind the scenes that can get your business off the ground. And what it simply comes down to, you make contact with them. They'll ask you, it'll be a Q&A. Pretty much, or they'll do their inquiry into what it is you're trying to do, and then they'll make their recommendations. And so once I initiated first contact with LegalZoom, I was then hit with a bunch of questions, and they pretty much talked me through it and walked me through it. And what it was recommended that I go with a LLC. There would be more coverage from a legal standpoint, and the LLC, if I may, is just a limited liability company. All right, and that's the way a lot of businesses are registered, as an LLC. If you incorporate, that becomes more. You're talking very expensive, and it's really more structured. It's a little bit overkill for what I was trying to do. Remember, we're talking about a hot dog cart. We're not talking about being a Fortune 500 company, but I digress. So I made contact, like I had mentioned, with LegalZoom, spoke to them, emailed back and forth and everything, and they were very helpful. And they do certain things, like they do their due diligence with regards to, all right, what's your business going to be called? And before I even got into this, somebody said, well, what would you call your business? And it really goes back to when I lived in New York, or the New York area. And on the AM radio on WFAN in New York, in the tri-state area, but there was a drive time sports talk radio show. It was called Mike and the Mad Dog. And that was because there were two, the hosts of the show were Mike Francesa and Chris Russo. Since my first name is Mike and I was going to be selling hot dogs, in my weird mind, it fit. So Mike and the Mad Dog. But instead of Mike and the Mad Dog and really ripping off their name, I said Mike and the Mad Dogs. As you can see, there's an S at the end because I was going to be selling hot dogs, plural. So they took that and they said, what we'll do is we will make sure that this name is not being used. And, almost along the lines of when you're going to set up your own domain, your web page and everything, and you want a .com or a .net or a .org, whatever, you want to make sure that you're not using the same name that's already out there. But in the business standpoint, it was something I said, yeah, let's check into it. A couple of weeks went by and they got back to me and they said, guess what? Mike and the Mad Dogs is wide open. So you still want to go with that name? And I said, yes. And then there's questions about who the principal, the CEO will be and everything. Yeah, they do ask that. And I'm like, well, that will be me. And how many employees do you expect? I said, well, you're talking to them. I'm the only employee right now. And he said, that's fine. All our businesses, that we deal with, they can start out very small, one person, and grow. And, and I said, yeah, that's exactly what I have in mind. I want to have an army of hot dog carts all around the country. But I know I joke, but it'd be nice. So that hurdle was taken care of, and so here it is. You get the obstructions, put your head down, plow forward. So yeah, we got to that with their help and a good deal of money, but that's what you're paying for, their legal services to get you all set up and registered. And that's exactly what I needed, because you have to be registered with the state of Texas also, the state controller's office, to be able to do business. Otherwise, you're illegal, and that can be more painful than anything you want to know with regards to fines and legal, and you just, yeah. So there it is, set up with the state controller, recognized, and I was going to get all kinds of certificates and so on to prove that I was a registered legit business. And that came, and the next thing I know, I now have the ability to do business with a company like Restaurant Depot, which would prove to be very beneficial with regards to how I would purchase certain products. But I don't want to go into that yet. So here it is, Mike and the Mad Dogs LLC is born. I got my complete package with that and everything. They send you a complete binder with everything you have. You are legal, you are protected, and that was one of the things that you pay for. Because I said, all this money I'm giving you guys, what does that entitle me to? And they did say, so in the food business, say for instance, you want to have insurance, all right? There's vendor insurance and all that stuff. Anyway, but if somebody were to sue you or whatever reason, LegalZoom has your back. That's what you're paying them for. It's like having an attorney on retainer. But enough about that. Let me just put this away. So that's all done. And the other things that were staring at me now was the where was I going to do business? And how was I going to find this elusive commissary that you're going to need? Because it's something that a lot of municipalities, they do require for you to get permitted. And, and I forget the hot dog cart itself. Yeah, we still hadn't located one. I had been doing some, searching online and so on, and there's tons of companies out there. Trust me, there are a lot. that will provide you. And I can provide some links if what I'll do later, I'll just provide the links of a few websites that I went to and you may find interesting. But it was getting really serious and I just needed to take a break. So naturally, I go back to work and talk to my dear friend Ted. And he's, again, excited about this more than I think he should be, but that's just Ted for you. He's just got that kind of, but he's very encouraging, and that's what I needed. Encouragement, there was no shortage of that. So moving on and trying to figure out what my next move was and so on. The things that were in the works were the creation of the LLC. That was pretty much almost done. It was now a question of getting down to business with finding the right website or whatever, but actually a company that I could purchase the cart from and everything like that. So what we can do is when we come back, we can talk about all that, how that happened, the purchasing of the cart, what happened when it arrived and so on. Really interesting story on that. I can't wait to tell you guys about that. But things were moving, and that was it. Mike and the Mad Dogs was slowly but surely going to become a reality, and this was exciting. You know, there was no remorse. There was nothing like, oh, maybe I should stop. I'm afraid to do this. No, it was full speed ahead. This was really going to happen. So, but we'll talk more about that when we come back with Mike and the Mad Dogs. Thanks for being here. Bye.